You're listening to the Mobcast Network.
Welcome to the Cult Movie Cantina. This is the podcast that takes a look at our favorite cult films, introduces them to someone who's not seen them, pairs them with a great alcohol beverage, and then we talk about it. Hello, cultist. How's everybody doing? Well, we're missing one.
Yeah.
We're missing one. We have one cultist. Stephanie is on her way back. Our Lady of Libations is on her way back from Japan.
I wonder how that's going, because on her way out there, she had a
nightmare trip from what I understand. I guess she'll talk about that in the cult meeting.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just knew that she had the layover, but I didn't.
No, she had the layover, and they changed planes on her and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
She had an adventure. I'm your host, your Native American pop culture spirit guide, Scotty, and I'm joined by...
Justina.
Or she who knows no movies.
You will have to use that introduction.
We'll get you a shirt.
Okay.
I'm going to get you a shirt.
Okay.
This week, we have a guest. Inverse Press's Kevin LaPorte. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Scotty. Thanks for inviting me in. Glad to be part of the hostage swap with Stephanie.
Is that what happened? Did she get in trouble with the Yakuza again?
I can't speak to that. I was just placed here and told to do this podcast in her place. And
they both owe money to the Yakuza. I mean, you make comics. I mean, that's a tough business. Takes a lot of money. A lot of Japanese money, apparently.
I feel like he's trying to fill some really big shoes right now, and then on the spot, we should have him come up with a drink just to see how he does.
Since I've never imbibed alcohol at all in my life, that's going to be really fun.
I second that.
I'm almost curious about how this would go.
Yeah. We'll go with Stephanie.
The Lady of Libations did record some nice drinks before she left, so you will hear that at the appropriate time. So this week we watched Event Horizon from 1997. You can listen to the trailer here.
A haunted ship.
I'm getting some really strange readings in here.
A missing crew.
This place is a tomb.
DJ, where are you?
And infinite evil.
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows what it's brought back with it?
Vacate! I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
Event Horizon. Rated R.
So Event Horizon came out in 1997. Was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, written by Philip Eisner. It stars Lawrence Fishburne as Captain Miller, Sam Neill as Dr. Weir, Kathleen Quinlan as Peters, Jolie Richardson as Stark, Richard T. Jones as Cooper, who is my favorite character in the movie, Jason Isaacs as DJ, or Harry Potter's villain's dad.
Malfoy.
Malfoy, there we go.
Okay, good.
Sean Purty as Smith, and Jack Noseworthy as Justin. Would you care to sum this movie up?
I just really love that it has a Harry Potter character in it, because it still ties into everything that I do.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Well done. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
It was intentional.
So it was a video game. Let's start there, because it resembled multiple video games, and essentially there were bad guys, and you had to defeat the bad guy. And then one person left, two people left, done.
So it's every horror movie ever made.
Yeah. Except Super Metroid.
It was there's some Super Metroid in it.
There was. I kept waiting for the big brain in the case that you had to shoot and break the glass. And then it was just floating, and then you had to shoot the eye.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Nope.
But kind of. Sort of.
Well, when
Super Metroid.
Lawrence Fishburne is navigating all that to get to Little Bear and jumping across empty space, that reminded me of those old video games like Metroid and Mario Brothers.
I don't remember the time Mario caught Luigi in Zero Gravity, but I stopped playing them after Mario 3, so I don't know what happened after he got the raccoon.
It depended on what pipe
After
you
he
went
got
down,
the
Scotty,
raccoon
or what
tail.
pipe you smoked. I can't remember.
It all involves a pipe. Kevin, you want to take a shot at the synopsis?
I'm going to say Clive Barker at the height of drunkenness and drug-addled fever, taking a stab at the first scene in Hellraiser 4, but turning it into a whole movie.
Hellraiser 4 is also on the list of things that I think we should do.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Bloodlines is easily the best Hellraiser movie to me.
We'll have you back on for that. So, if we need something in space and hell, we'll just call Kevin.
That pretty much sums up my taste in movies, Scotty.
All right, so my synopsis is, after an experimental starship returns from being missing for 7 years, a rescue team is sent to investigate. Once on board, strange things happen, revealing that the ship may have vanished into the depths of hell and wants to go back. Dun, dun, dun.
It really does. It's determined.
So let's start at the beginning, because that's where the good place to start is. We are first introduced to Dr. Weir, played by Sam Neill. So, the dude from Jurassic Park.
He rode that wave for a long time after Jurassic Park. I mean...
So I was like, and he is a engineer, and he's designed this crazy new warp drive. Is the best way to explain it. Faster than light engine, and then he put it on this one spaceship, and then it went missing, and suddenly it's back, and they got to go rescue it. And in between that time, his wife killed herself. And that comes up a few times.
A few. Or a lot.
I couldn't tell if that was real or if that was the ship messing with him. There was a lot of times where I'm like, what really happened and what is just them making it look like it happened?
See, I think in that case, I think it's a little of both. I really think it's the ship messing with him. But I think there's a strong appearance of the dead eyeless wife.
Well, he was dreaming about her when he was in cryo sleep. So
he was.
Obviously there was
Correct.
something. Either
Yeah.
he had a nightmare about it, and then the ship took that and ran with it, or it really happened, and it just kept bringing
didn't
it
like
up.
the little picture, and he woke up and he took the picture and put it with all the other pictures.
Yeah. Right.
Right. That
Right.
was this movie, right? Okay, cool. I was just making sure I remembered the beginning right. So
So far, so
it
good.
obviously sticks out with him. Yeah.
He, like I said, they have found the event horizon is kind of hanging out near Neptune, kind of Discovery-like out of from 2010. Just it's in Jupiter. This one's hanging out in Neptune. We just like to abandon starships around random planets.
It made for great visuals, though. I mean, it's a beautifully shot film. And
Right.
I love to watch the movie,
Oh, yeah.
regardless of the plot. It's just really nice to
Right,
watch.
and the ship itself, its design was based on Notre Dame, and so everything had these beautiful buttresses and stained glass kind of looking things, and it's, they were very conscious of what they're doing. And in fact, when you look at it from above, it does kind of favor a crucifix.
And a construction worker burned it down at the end, so it does a lot in common with Notre Dame.
That's true. That's true. There's some similarities there to the. Too soon, man.
So maybe it did come back from hell and presaged what happened in Paris this year.
We meet Morpheus. Your
Morpheus.
Your favorite person. Lawrence Fishburne as Captain Miller, and he has a ship full of salvage rescue team guys, and he's got a whole team, and that's what they're going to go do.
I found it fascinating that they all didn't get the break they were promised, and they had to fly this ship through space and didn't find out why until after they had already gotten through space halfway.
That's kind of a common theme in this. Like Alien does the same thing.
A lot of bait and switch, and you really get screwed. I mean,
Yeah, like they all wake up and they're like, "You're gonna tell me why we just flew light years to get here?" And it's, did you not want to ask that question before you got on board?
No,
before you got on board, you weren't like, "What's going on?" You just went along. Why
right,
not?
It's like, all right, it's another mission, but no.
And then they got all pissed off and they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't have agreed.
but we're here, so
But we're here.
let's let us all die.
Let's
I don't think
go."
I got paid well.
Why not?
I mean, I guess no one technically got paid because I think everyone perishes.
No. Well, yeah. No, at the end, there's two survivors.
No. At the
At the
in
end.
the movie, the door shuts on everybody and goes credits.
Yeah.
It leaves it open to potentially
sequel that they
them.
never got to make.
I was
Them
hoping
all
Coop
dying.
made it. I mean, I was,
Everybody else can die, but Coop needs to make it.
Coop and Stark,
Like we said, they go through cryo sleep, which is another space thing. A space movie thing. It only takes 56 days to get there, but we're just gonna nap on the way. Because how fast they will go, if they don't nap on the way, they will get turned into goo, as it was described by Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure if the science is accurate on that, but
Why
a
do they
wizard.
always, when they get stuck in those little capsules, why do they have to be in their underpants? Why does it have to happen? It feels like if they can already do all the things they can do, you can keep your clothes on.
Yeah, if
Right?
you can wear underpants in there, why can't you just wear clothes?
Right. I mean, I get you're in water,
I mean,
but like everybody's comfortable just being in their underpants. Nobody was like, I'm keeping my clothes on. You guys can be in your underpants. I don't mind if I get wet. It's fine.
You don't have like a favorite sleep shirt? None of them did, actually. They all looked like they were wearing like official sleep gear. I was like,
Yeah, but it was like all sports bras and underpants.
Right,
That was it.
it was in
Like, can I get
Samuel's
a one
contract.
piece?
He had to show off those
I need a one
pecs.
piece.
it's an whole scene where he's like,
One piece.
he's mostly naked walking. Well, there's a part of the scene where he is naked in it, but it's like,
It looks like he's been laying on a grill for a couple of hours.
he's like, I'm working these love handles on because I still saw them. But they fly. He has a and they fly in liquid. Well, I guess water. So I don't know if it's water or not. I don't know. It just like it's just liquid.
It's not back to
Right, it's not back.
Definitely
to,
not back to.
which makes me sad. And they have air hoses like scuba divers, so they can breathe in the water while they sleep. And on the voyage, Sam Neill's his doesn't work, and he almost drowns, and his pod opens up, and no one else is awake, and he's just going walking around hearing noises. But like I've been in an empty house before. I know where everyone's at. I can turn my head. It's not like someone was waiting. And then he gets scared by his blind wife, his no-eyed wife.
So if you woke up and you're a guest on somebody's ship, and you wake up and you're the only one, okay, and you're like, oh no, it didn't work right. I'm just gonna wander this ship right now of nothing that I understand and see what happens. Nope. I'd hear a weird noise. I'd be like, I'll stay here because they're gonna get up eventually. So
Yeah,
you can
I'll
hunt
just
somewhere
wait.
else.
Maybe it's like when you're at a hotel with like friends and you wake up first and you just want to be polite, trying to sneak around and not wake them up.
Oh no, I stay in bed. I just roll over and go, maybe I'll fall asleep. Maybe somebody else will get up and make coffee. I don't
think he
know.
had a guilty conscience. That's why he was so unnerved, and I think he was
Perhaps.
bad from the start. He wanted to go to hell,
I kind of get that feeling about that.
and that was before he turned into the
the devil.
The ringleader.
the
Yeah.
Barker-esque bad attempt at a Cenobite that he did turn into.
I'm Lesions, the Cinnabon.
Still better than CD though, Scotty.
No, is CD worse or the guy who's basically the Molotov cocktail?
CD is worse.
Halloween
CD
3's got. I mean, not Halloween. Hellraiser 3's got terrible.
He's
cinema.
actually obsolete now. He has no weapons anymore.
Fire won't ever go out of style. You are correct. By the way, she's never seen any of these movies. and
No,
she's
I was just thinking like they're
that's-
telling so many jokes that are making them laugh so hard, and I look so clueless. I'll pipe
Luckily,
in
it's
a
not on
second.
video. You're fine.
I'll pop in a second. guys.
Hellraiser nerd, sorry.
Yeah, we'll do a Hellraiser.
Are you gonna just do the fourth one? Is that what's gonna happen to me? Like I'm gonna see none of them except for the fourth one?
Yeah, we did Star Trek First Contact a couple episodes ago, and she's never seen a Star Trek movie, so I just gave her the 8th one.
That was the worst movie I've had to watch, just because it was so confusing, having seen none of the previous ones.
Because they don't explain anything.
No.
Locuta shows up. You're like, it's Picard?
She didn't even know that.
No, he would bring up names. I was like, I don't know. I couldn't even follow the plot. I was so confused by all the people that showed up.
If you've not listened to that show, it's a great show.
So that's kind of what this moment's like for me.
I'll get us
Y'all are
started.
doing great. I'm so glad you're here because this would not be
There was
like
a
this
demon
if
from
it was
hell
just us.
that was made out of a CD changer. That's what we're referring to
Oh.
in Hellraiser 3.
Yeah,
And he would
Hellraiser
actually
3.
shoot CD as like actual
And
laser disc out of his chest and impale people like throwing stars.
It's like they knew those were going to be obsolete one day.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can we
This
get rid
guy
of
can have a
these?
job.
How can
That's
we
right.
get rid of these? Just stick them inside of his
We're
chest.
going to murder people with, MC Hammer CDs.
It's like those AOL
No,
discs
if I
you
said,
used
what
to
did you
get.
do with AOL discs?
Yeah.
No shit.
I am AOL.
33 hours of death. Also a completely dated reference.
Right. That's okay. This movie's dated, so it's all right. Weir freaks out, but luckily it's all a dream. They wake him up, and then they do the same kind of moment of in Aliens. Is like, you guys just got out of bed, but we got work to do, so don't lollygag.
You want coffee? No, I just got
Elbows
out of
and
a pool.
assholes.
And then we also have the briefing meeting where we have our our grunts, the guys who all work together, and the outsider who's got all the real information. Again, aliens. God rest his soul. And then they explain that it's the Event Horizon, and they're like, the Event Horizon was destroyed. This is a bullshit kind of operation. We're heading out. And he then explains, Weir explains that the Event Horizon didn't blow up. It was just what they told everybody. What happened is it went missing. And then he had to explain how this drive works. And the only way that movie directors and writers can explain wormholes is with paper and a pencil. So you take a piece of paper, you fold it up, you drive a pencil right through it. That's a wormhole. Interstellar did the same thing. I was like, oh, look, it's the Event Horizon experience.
So Christopher Nolan ripped off Event Horizon. I thought the same thing when I saw it, honestly. And I'll still to this day say Event Horizon is the superior film. Interstellar sucked.
I like Interstellar.
He ended up in a bookshelf. It's awful.
So I saw that movie, and it just remember we were watching Event Horizon, and he did the whole poster thing, and I said, "This looks familiar. Maybe I've seen this."
Right.
No, I saw the other one.
All right. You saw.
Oh, look at that.
See, look.
Reference achieved.
Yeah.
Long story short, they find the Event Horizon outside of Jupiter.
BioShock. That's where BioShock showed up.
Like starts looking like BioShock.
Yeah.
But which came first?
Event Horizon. Actually, I have a whole bunch of notes about that.
Important. It inspired these looks. It didn't take them. Would be my wager.
Because the way that it clears too is just like the beginning of one of the BioShock games.
Right. It does. And we talked about this too. There's a great game called Dead Space, which is basically Event Horizon with more bio-zombies. But it's really fun. And it's,
with lots of weirs.
Lots of weirs. The crew eventually gets on board. They find nobody, but everything else is all this really cool 1997 CGI floating stuff.
But it's not bad for the time.
It's not, but you can tell they were really excited about it because
used it a
that
lot.
was like the one effect,
Yes.
and they did it. Everything else you could tell, like the costuming and the makeup and the architect, like all of that was, you could tell real. That was the one effect, and they were so proud of it. You would just randomly see something floating just so they can point out that they could do that.
That's absolutely
like, look
true.
at it. It looks like an item. It looks like a real item floating.
Right.
Boom.
So on the ship first is Miller, Justin, a.k.a. Baby Bear, and one more person, and I'm trying to remember who the other person was. I think it's Stark. Yeah, it's Stark. And they go investigate the ship. Baby Bear goes down to look at the engine room. The engine room is basically the Hellraiser box as a sphere.
Yeah, so it's a Hellraiser gyroscope.
Right, would you
Yeah.
Apparently it has these three giant magnets that if they line up, they will open a portal so you can go from one side of the piece of paper to the other.
See, it's a good device for explaining
right.
things.
So everybody following at home, right? It opens up in a big blacky kind of goo looking stuff, and of course Justin touches it. That's the first thing I wouldn't do, but he's like, "Oh, let me look at it." He touches it, and then of course it swallows him.
You think that if you're in this new thing that they just explained can travel faster than light, which is not supposed to be possible, and there's this wall of liquid that's floating that doesn't make any sense, you wouldn't touch it? You're trying to tell me you wouldn't touch it, Scotty?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't touch it?
I wouldn't touch it. Kevin,
Would
you
you
touch it? I wouldn't touch it.
I wouldn't touch it, but people are stupid. They're going to touch it. I mean, have you
I
guys
wouldn't
ever
touch
seen
it
YouTube?
with my hand, but I would probably find something to throw into it.
Hey guys, look at my channel. Justin here, Baby Bear live, and we're here outside this crazy wormhole.
Don't forget to click follow, touch, buy.
Subscribe now. Speaking of which, our YouTube channel, never mind.
Zip.
Baby Bear gets sucked into it, and then it causes a giant shockwave that damages the Miller ship, which is lovingly called the Lewis and Clark. I had forgotten to mention that because exploration.
That's history, Scotty. It's
I know.
they're teaching you while they're entertaining you.
They are teaching
You've
us.
learned about faster than light travel. You've learned about the colonization of the Americas,
Yes.
which is a sore subject.
And how
Sorry.
wormholes work with paper. Paper and
Right,
pencil.
we learned
Yeah.
science through the paper.
Yeah.
The paper
Yeah.
we
So
learned.
many things.
Lewis and Clark started that. It's a little known fact.
Right. You know, Jefferson on the one side, there's here on it, but if we fold this piece of paper, we can get to where California is. We can find the Pacific.
Lewis, hold this piece of paper. I got this pencil. It's like, what the hell are you doing, Clark?
Science. All right, so everyone gets on board, and they start investigating. The ship starts doing crazy things. Poor Justin's like in a coma. He won't wake up. Jason Isaacs is doctor trying to figure out what's going on.
Is this the prequel to Gotham, by the way, since he was Alfred? Is he Pennyworth? Is this where Pennyworth is going to go when they start that show? Did you realize that?
No,
Sean Pertwee was Alfred
that's
in
right.
Gotham.
That's right. He is.
Yes.
Sean Pertwee's also one of my favorites. He's like Cooper than him. He's so good in this. He's
Which
the
one
guy,
was that?
He's the guy who's like, fuck this ship. I'm not going.
He's trying to get Weir the whole time. He tries to choke him. They have to hold him back. He's the guy with the skinhead.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
The
British
guy
dude.
who's like, I'm just going to stay on the ship and
Yeah.
fix it.
That's
Yeah.
Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, that's Pennyworth.
He raised Batman after this movie.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, not technically. He died in this movie.
He went to hell and came back and raised
Back.
the dark multiverse guy.
Oh, hey, that makes a lot of sense.
Dan DiDio made this real.
Crazy stuff happens. Everyone's seeing hallucinations. Usually stuff from their past. One of the characters has a son who's disabled, and she keeps seeing him like with bugs and stuff on his legs. And Miller sees a guy that he let burn to death in a past mission. Weir
That
sees
he told nobody about.
Right, told nobody
Yeah.
about. Weir keeps seeing his wife. Clark sees she sees Stark sees the blood from The Shining come out.
Yes.
I mean, but a lot of these hallucinations happen, and while they're investigating and looking up, they find a log of what happened to the ship, a little bit of pieces of it, and at first you can listen to it, and it's kind of like garbled, and it's possibly Latin, and Jason Isaacs is all like, "That's totally Latin," and he says it, and then later on he realizes he's wrong. It's supposed to be, he says like it means save us, but it's like save yourself.
Yeah.
And then we get to see it, what they lovingly called the blood orgy. And so it's just not fun. It's just not pleasant. People are on like fan blades, and there's bugs everywhere. Somebody was sodomized with a lead pipe, but it's all really, really fast. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't slow it down, but it's just really, really fast.
That's where a lot of the floating things you were referring to came from. The hand, the miscellaneous
our
body
favorite
parts that are
floating thing
floating.
was a corpsicle.
Yeah, I wrote corpsicle and then couldn't remember what it was.
Okay, do you remember now?
Yeah. Well, Jennifer explained it to me.
Did
Because
you-
I said corpsicle, and then she just explained it to me like she automatically knew what I was talking about.
Do you know why you wrote it down?
Because it was a corpsicle?
No, because you're saying, totally, I'm going to come up with a drink for that.
Oh, mother trucker. I forgot
No,
about
that's
that.
okay. That's okay.
No,
I
it's
think
okay.
it's funny.
Continue.
I think it's funny. Justin wakes up and walks outside. He basically goes to the airlock, locks himself in the airlock, keeps saying that the darkness inside him, he sees it, and he doesn't want it anymore. It's a great way to commit suicide, I suppose, going down the airlock. And then as the airlock depressurizes, he kind of snaps to it. Miller comes to go rescue him. He starts to bubble up and boil. The doors open up. He gets into a little ball and spits blood like a piñata. And then he gets caught, save the day, and then
But it's an awesome scene.
Oh, it's a
though.
great scene.
I mean, scientifically, whether it makes sense or not, it's such a beautifully shot and performed scene.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, I wish Fishburne had done more sci-fi where he was the dude in charge. He is so commanding, so fascinating in that role. And he kind of chews up the scenes that he's in.
he does. He's really good at leadership. I mean, and Miller's a really good role for him. And plus, he's always said, even though problems with this movie and that's mostly studio involvements, he loves this movie. It's one of his favorites.
Well, he's so solid. And I love that scene where he saves Baby Bear.
Right.
I mean, it's such a nice build-up, and the payoff is really good. Whether or not the guy would have exploded into tiny fleshy bits or not before he got there is a different question.
We will actually find out later in this episode if that happens or not.
But I saw this in the theater.
I did too.
In '97 at Springdale 6 over here. That's been closed for years and years now.
I saw it at the Foley Theater. That's now a church.
We saw lots of movies there
Foley
back in the day.
Back in the day, we saw like the first movie I saw there was Independence Day.
Yeah. I remember that scene ever since. It just stood out to me.
It's such a good scene because you've got the tension. You've got first him who's possessed by whatever darkness is inside him. You've got everyone who's trying to get him out, and Miller who's been hanging out on the other ship, kind of seeing repairs, flying his way the best way he can to get to
and so cool the whole time and telling him to calm down. Yeah, he's just in charge. It was really really good to me.
And I like when the airlock starts to open, he wakes up and realizes what's going on, and no one can't let him because they'll destroy the ship. And even how it's done, his veins start to bubble up, and then he starts to float. Yeah. I mean, it was really done excellent.
Yeah, love it.
There was a scene that was in an earlier draft that got cut that he reworked back into the movie because he wanted to do it so much. So it's very
awesome.
cool. It's very cool. I'm trying to keep this one short. So, long story short, the ship went to hell and came back.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. And it's systematically killing all the characters. Dr. Weir wants the remaining crew. He's been possessed by, and he wants to take it to hell. He's all cut up and Legion-like, and he got knocked out into space and come back. He got no eyes because where we're going, you don't need eyes. And I'm like, the hell I do if I'm going to see this torture.
That's a matter of opinion, sir.
Luckily, they figure out a way to destroy the ship because someone put bombs on the ship as a safety measure.
Because they just knew it was going to go to hell one day.
Right. So the way that the Event Horizon is built, there is I would call a habitat section, a long corridor full of little hallway bombs and the engine. And so the hallway bombs, once they explode, they separate the engine from the habitat zone, and so the habitat can be used as a lifeboat and be rescued. And so that's their plan. There's fighting and chaos. Lots of people die.
As they should.
Miller sacrifices himself by fighting Weir in the engine room and fighting the fire guy that he saw and blows up everything, leaving Cooper Stark and Justin in a tube.
And Cooper getting blasted out into space,
right, and
coming back. So cool.
Yeah, I was going to come back to that. But they drift off. They're rescued, and or are they? Because Stark has the crazy weird dream where she wakes up from her tube, and the security guy who's trying to help her takes off his helmet or lifts his helmet as Weir, and then she wakes up and freaks out.
And they're like, no, it's fine.
Right,
you're
and they're
fine.
trying to get her set up and calm her down.
Coop's trying to help her out.
And as they're calming her down, the ship's doors suddenly close. Ooh.
So, one thing you didn't bring up that we both talked about.
Right.
They are constantly smoking cigarettes. And how? How are they doing that? In the pressurized...
Oxygen-rich environment.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty 70s sci-fi trope. I mean, they did an Alien.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a
throwback
to that.
In this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I forgot to look that up. Maybe for the cult meeting, I'll look out and see if that's possible.
Okay.
If they mix the air environment enough and mix the oxygen content.
Right. If you can get closer to Earth's oxygen.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Do they do that just to let people smoke those? Like, hey guys, can you put some more nitrogen in here?
Like different times.
I'm a 2-pack a day guy. If I'm going to be in this can for 56 days, I'm really going to need to burn a few when I get out.
So before we move on, we did talk about, I think, your and I, Kevin's favorite scene is the rescuing of Baby Bear. I also love Cooper and his daring escape. So our friend Cooper, who's this lively, sweet talking, cooler than you,
sarcastic, but he's obviously the funny guy of the group,
right?
But also the most capable. He's established right up front as a rescue expert.
He's
the emergency guy.
If you're in trouble, you come call Cooper. And
he just kind of saved himself the whole time,
right? Which is perfect. Honestly, I think
Come to me, except while y'all are dying, I'm going to be taking care of myself. I don't want to go to hell.
So Cooper, after the Lewis and Clark is damaged, Cooper is set to repair it. So he's putting metal or whatever and riveting things down. And then when Weir blows up the Lewis and Clark, it sends Cooper into space. And the whole time Cooper's freaking out. And then he goes, okay, what can I do? Okay, I'll just blow my tanks. And he blows his tanks, and literally Iron Man flies his way back to the event horizon. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. Probably not plausible, but
it was
Mythbusters. Do it.
No.
Do it, Mythbusters.
Shows up in the nick of time.
Right.
I mean, this whole heroic thing.
Hey, he's just
it's
awesome.
Really good.
It was it's so fun. It's as weird as the movie is. It is and as filled with just homages to a little bit of everything. I mean, at its essence, at its core, it's a haunted house in space, complete with lightning bolts and smoke and clouds in the windows. I mean, it's all got a really good aesthetic.
It borrows a lot, but I think the way that it borrows and applies what it takes from other films and other creators is really fun. It's really good. Makes a really cool movie.
I liked it.
It's
a
like
good movie.
If Ridley Scott got really drunk and directed a Clive Barker script. That's kind of
I can see that. I really can see that. So,
but didn't get sober for the entire shoot. That's my point.
So we're moving on to Our Lady of Libations, and she has a drink or a couple of drinks for you to enjoy the next time you are watching this great film.
All right, everybody. This is your Lady of Libations coming to you from Okinawa. That's right. I am really recording this before I go. But when you hear this, I will be in Okinawa. And these are your libations for Event Horizon. I have two of them for you. The first one is a shooter called the Black Hole. It is 1/3 ounce black rum, 1/3 ounce Kahlua, 1/3 ounce amaretto. Shake it over ice and pour it and shoot it. Yum, yum. I like all of those, by the way. And the second one is an actual popular drink called the Black Hole. It is served in a highball glass. All it is 1.5 ounce of black sambuca, and you fill with club soda. Yum.
And remember, if you enjoy this drink, let us know. Shoot video of watching you enjoying it. That'd be fun.
I found a corpsicle.
Oh, you found a corpsicle?
Yeah. Well, I've had a drink that's called the Corpse Reviver. And I'm going to add a popsicle to it. Last minute, guys. I forgot why I wrote that down. Do you want me to share? Yeah.
Yes, I want you to share.
I didn't like the number 1. I just didn't like it. So the Corpse Reviver number 2 has absinthe, gin, orange liqueur, something called Lillet Blanc, which is like a fruit liqueur.
Right.
It calls for fresh lemon juice, and then you put it in a martini glass. But instead of using the lemon juice, you're going to use a lemon popsicle.
Okay. Corpsicle.
Boom. Corpsicle.
Look at you.
It's technically stealing, but that's okay. We're borrowing. We're encouraging.
So I did manage to find some apocrypha for this film.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah. Enjoy this one. So Paul W.S. Anderson's initial cut of the film ran 130 minutes and was quite graphically violent, so much that test audience in the studio balked at the finished product. Now, the part of that reason was that the studio rushed this test screening. The effects weren't finished, the music wasn't, the sound wasn't mixed, the music wasn't in there.
They didn't have all the cool floating things?
They didn't have everything.
No.
Of course,
that explains it.
Of course, audiences didn't like it. And knowing their audiences, they're probably 13-year-old boys watching it. Paramount ordered him to cut the movie by 30 minutes and tone down some of the violence. He did, and the decision that he regrets. Then, as late as 2012, he started looking for the footage. He found the old cut footage. He was trying to make a director's cut. Found the cut footage in a salt mine in Romania.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, because it preserves things like documents and film. There's salt mines all over the world, and studios have got all kinds of just documents and film and stuff.
That's damn bizarre.
In Romania,
I know you've not seen it, but you ever seen Romero's Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a real salt mine, and that's also one of those places where they keep like they're making a zombie movie over here, and Paramount's got like Gone with the Wind over there. This is original cuts and stuff. So that's where I'm all over. So they found it in Romania. Unfortunately, because of reasons, the footage got degraded, so they couldn't use it. And so
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. So in 2017, due because of the bad archiving, a longer version no longer exists. He did in that time find a VHS copy of his original cut, and some steals came from that. But he says it's not good enough to share. Maybe technology will catch up. So here's what I thought was really interesting. William Malone, who wrote House on Haunted Hill, the 1999 version, wrote a script in 1990 called Dead Star, which he kind of called kind of Dead Calm in Space. The premise is, what if hell is as a realm is a real place, another dimension, and what if aliens built a machine that could send out to hell? The story focuses on a crew sent to rescue a ship and finding this machine. The script had been sent out to studios and read by unknown amount of people. Things were lifted, but no pointing fingers, Wow. Dead Star eventually became Supernova. A science fiction flop from 2000 that was plagued with a ton of problems, including the writer, one of the lead writers coming in and doing a complete screen rewrite, not knowing that the head of the studio was so in love with the original script, she cut their budget in half after she read the new one.
That's a pretty awful film, too.
Yeah, which also led to the first post-Alan Smithy film. Are you guys familiar with Alan Smithy?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so Alan Smithy, for those who don't know, if you're for a long time, if you were a director of a movie and the finished product come out and you're not happy with it, you could remove your name from it and they would put Alan Smithy. Well, because of a movie, Alan Smithy, Burn Hollywood Burn, they stopped using the name. This is the first movie that did not use the name. The new name is Thomas Lee. So this movie is unofficially directed by Thomas Lee.
Okay.
So I thought that was some interesting apocrypha. So moving on to our favorite game, Screw, Marry, Kill. Our choices are, you'll love this, Dr. Weir, Captain Miller, and Cooper.
Okay, Captain Miller, remind me.
Morpheus.
Okay, thank you. Morpheus. Cooper and Dr. Weir. Oh, yeah.
Dr. Weir is...
I know. Yeah, no,
Jurassic
I know.
Park.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you asked me to remind you of the bad guy.
No. Oh, you want me to go first?
I thought you were going first.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine.
You started talking. I was going
Yeah, I was just talking. I was thinking. Okay, so Hell Guy's dead. The doctor's dead.
Are you killing Hell Guy?
Yeah, because I want to go to hell, so no.
Have you ever been? It could be a nice place.
It did not look like it. It didn't look like it was going to be very fun. I want to keep my eyes, first of all, so there's that.
But you won't need them where he's taking you.
Matter. I like them. I would probably marry Morpheus because he seemed like he got it together. And then he goes to the Matrix later, and that would be fun. And then Coop and I, we're going to hook up.
Coop, you know Coop?
Yeah. He looks like you have a good time.
Kevin?
I would have said the same things, but I'll change it up. I'll screw.
You can say the same thing for different reasons.
No, she got the right reasons.
Yeah.
Those are the right reasons. I can't dispute those reasons.
We're synced up over here. He also wants to go to the Matrix.
That's who those people are. But instead, I'll screw Weir just to say that I screwed a Cenobite, a barbecue Cenobite.
I already knocked that off your bucket
So that means
list.
you have to kill Coop?
I can brag about it.
Right,
I'm going to marry Coop.
Okay.
Because he's funny
Yeah.
and awesome to have around, and he can rescue me from any damn thing that happens. And unfortunately, that means I have to kill Miller because he lied about, he didn't tell anybody he burned that guy up.
Oh, yeah.
Honesty is really important.
Character
Kevin.
flaw.
Yeah.
Character flaw.
Honesty is really important, Kevin. I respect that.
Yeah.
For me, I agree with you. I will kill Weir because ew.
Because
Just ew.
But the sex tape, celebrity possibilities are incredible.
I like that he went with that aspect for you. He's like, you could become famous.
I got you.
Scotty, famous.
I would give Captain Miller the time of his life on one good night. I'm a magical lover. I'm just saying.
You think that guy was on fire, Captain? Check this out.
Right. I mean, I'm going to give him venereal disease. What is that? I'll show you what's on fire. Hey, Jason Isaac, can you take a look at this? It burns with that pee. And then I will marry Cooper because he can take care of people. That's his thing. He'll take.
You'll
good care
laugh. You'll laugh.
Yeah, and that's what you need in a good relationship.
Yeah.
Laugh.
I mean, he was a good flirt. He made a couple of nice come-ons to start.
Right.
He was totally groping her at the end. He's like, I got you. She's like, yeah.
And honestly, I mean,
They're already
he's got a
naked.
good
Might as
job.
well.
I bet he's got hazard pay and something happens, life insurance. I think I'd be taken care of.
That is always Scotty's end game: is who can take care of me in the long
That's
run.
good planning.
Or can I get powers?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with them because I can
Or
become a
both.
king.
Again, listen to the board episode. That was fun. So I now have some fun facts. So this movie happens around Neptune. I have fun facts about Neptune. Neptune is our most distant planet.
Now, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
If you ask scientists,
Unfortunately,
opinion.
Unfortunately, Pluto is now a dwarf planet, and so dwarf planets don't count. Also, Pluto has a weird elliptical orbit, so sometimes
yeah, it slips inside Neptune's orbit.
It slips inside Neptune's orbit, which the last time that happened was like between 1970 and 1999. Neptune has the strongest winds in the solar system.
Good to know.
Yeah, just if you want to go windsurfing, you go there. Neptune is the coldest planet in the solar system.
Well, I mean, it needs to be to keep hell there. I mean, something's got to cool it down.
It's at negative 366.6 Fahrenheit, which means that an unprotected human being will flash freeze in a second.
Corpsicle.
And Neptune has a ring system, but it's hard to see, thanks to Saturn. Most of the large planets, I think, all have ring systems. Fun facts about Lewis and Clark. So Lewis and Clark was a expedition team who, under Thomas Jefferson, went to go explore the recently purchased Louisiana Purchase. And so they went and basically were on their way looking for to check everything out, but really looking for a fast route to get to the Pacific. Meriwether Lewis met William Clark in the Army, but when Lewis was being court-martialed for getting into a duel, but he was acquitted, and he got instead of he was found not guilty, but and his superiors decided to transfer him to a different company, that's where he met Clark, his new best buddy.
I mean, if you weren't getting in a duel back in those days, who the hell were you and what were you doing with your life? Honestly, that was
a musical. Go watch Hamilton.
I want to see
There's
that
lots.
so bad.
There's lots of duels in Hamilton. So before Lewis and Clark completed their expedition, Americans could only speculate on what lurked in the uncharted territories beyond the Rocky Mountains. Thomas Jefferson had a small library of books on the frontier and was convinced the explorers might run into mountains of salt, a race of Welsh-speaking Indians, and herds of woolly mammoths and giant sloths. Did not find any of that stuff. But they did. But Lewis did describe 178 previously unknown species of plant, 122 animals, including coyotes, mountain beavers, and grizzly bears, which was previously
Mountain
unknown.
beavers.
So there's
Going
that.
for sloths, come back with mountain beavers.
So my other favorite one was that. So Jefferson told everybody that the Lewis and Clark expedition was a scientific expedition. We're just going to go do science things, not look for a trade route to the Pacific. But the Spanish all knew that was different, and so the Spanish all sent out from Mexico and New Mexico. They sent out groups of roving bands to go arrest them. They never found them because it's all America. It's big. I have no fun facts about Event Horizons. I tried. I really, really tried. Do you know how confusing Event Horizons are?
yeah, that's high level physics.
Like, I was like, oh, look, I'll just go like mental flaws, 10 things that you need to know about mental. And they're like, no. You need to agree to read this.
Just see the 70s Disney movie, The Black Hole, if you want to understand what Event Horizons are not.
So, no. Something about time and space-time, and then that's a barrier where space-time is, and you'll die, but on the other side, everything's fine, but things have moved. I mean, I couldn't understand.
But you end up in a bookshelf.
You end up in a bookshelf. Or hell. Hell or a bookshelf. That's what your two choices are. You're going to... Maybe that is... Hell is a bookshelf.
That's all I could figure.
Why is that a bad thing?
He was behind it. He couldn't even get to the books. It was terrible.
You have to look at them forever.
That's
never
right.
touch them. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, he was kind of touching them. He was trying to make Morse code for his daughter.
because he dropped some of them out, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So I watched that movie.
Trying to help Murph out. So you find yourself outside in space without a spacesuit. Here's what happens. First of all, you aren't going to explode. Your blood is not going to boil. Your skin keeps you from spilling out into space. However, you will inflate. The nitrogen dissolves in your bloodstream near the surface of your skin, and it will collect itself into little bubbles, expanding you to about twice your size, starting in your hands and feet, then moving in.
We're blowfish.
Yeah, you're blowfish.
Yes.
You won't freeze either. Eventually, you will, but you won't flash freeze in space. We radiate about 100 watts of heat, and because of our body mass, we won't be turning into a popsicle or corpsicle anytime soon. What really dooms you is the lack of oxygen, which kills your brain and the rest of your organs. Your body goes into a safety mode, which tries to conserve energy, so you have about 2 minutes to be rescued. Captain Miller was right about one thing, though. You don't want to hold your breath. You want to push all the air out because you don't want to rupture your lungs.
Because it's going to be exploding.
Right.
Right.
Justin was lucky. He was rescued in under 2 minutes, more like 34 seconds.
Yeah.
So they got him good. So his transformation was probably a little bit dramatic, but it's
a little bit, just a little bit.
It's a movie.
It's a good movie.
And Cowboy Curtis saved him. So
Cowboy Curtis did save him. That's the secret word of the day. Hell. I need to replace that with the orgy screams. Should do that. All right. So a little bar trivia. So how long did you think that the Event Horizon ship model was?
The model?
The model for the ship.
Talking feet or inches?
Feet.
5 feet 2 inches.
5'2". Kevin?
8 feet.
70 feet long.
What the?
Are you kidding?
No, it's a 70-foot model.
Wow.
Did it start smaller? Because I still feel like I could be correct. Like they started with a smaller one, and then they were like, 70 feet of this. Let's do this, guys.
Well, technically, you're both correct because I bet at one time it was 5 foot and then 8 foot.
At least for a few minutes.
For a few minutes. It was just
Yeah.
5 foot.
See? We were right.
So half a point
It's
for
a
both.
gorgeous
Thanks.
ship, though. I mean, such a nice model.
It was, like I said, it was designed after Notre Dame. Man. It's
It had to be one of the last sci-fi movies that it used a practical model.
Right. Yeah, everything was practical in it. I've got some notes about that,
Because
too.
Phantom Menace was 2 years later and,
Right, and it was all-
blew everything away. So
That's true.
not in a good way always, but in some ways.
It still has the best lightsaber fight in the series.
Correct.
So the sleep tanks, where do you think they were?
What do you think they were?
In real life.
You talking about the things that they floated in liquid?
Yep. They were real things that were modified.
Water bottles.
I'm going to sleep in this Dasani bottle right here.
Not Dasani, the ones they bring to offices.
Okay, I got you.
Oh.
I'm going to go sleep in Glacier Springs over there.
Coffins.
Jet plane cockpits.
Wow.
So fighter jet cockpits.
So like I could use G.I. Joe toys and simulate that.
Exactly. You could get your Sky Striker.
Sneak us, strip down to your skivvies and get under this cockpit. You're going
We can't
to
wear our clothes.
space.
You have to be naked. You have to be naked.
I would say, can I wear my mask where he doesn't talk? So that joke doesn't make sense. And it's an audio podcast, so I can't. The frozen corporate effect had to be shot twice thanks to a disgruntled effects worker. The first time he had hit a Barbie doll in it. And so when it fell and broke, the Barbie doll bounced out. So they had to spend money to do that twice.
Oh, I would be so mad.
The spacesuits worn by the actors were 65 pounds. And due to the weight that they couldn't stay on for a long period of time due to back injury. So they made designed special hanging poles. So between scenes, you would see actors kind of hanging in their suits.
Oh, Wally. Wally was in this because he had the floating hammock,
Yeah,
whatever.
his
Like I
captain
forgot.
chairs.
There were so many other movies that stole, I guess, from this one. If this one was first.
So Paul W.S. Anderson really got this movie because Mortal Kombat from 1995 was such a hit. What did he turn down to direct this instead?
I like that he looked at you because
Akira?
he knows that I know none of the
everybody's
movies
turning
around
down
that
Akira
time.
to direct another
I will
thing.
give you both a hint. It is a movie that has been made.
How does
I should
that
know
help
this.
He said Akira. And Akira's not. There's not been a live action.
I was just
Akira.
kidding. Because Taika Waititi turned it down to do
Did-
Thor for today. So
Today, yeah, that was big news. We're getting a Thor 4.
Are we?
Yeah, same director.
I love Thor.
that's going to be good. I do not remember. I should know this, but I don't remember.
You need to know to
it's a
come
guess.
with
It's a
multiple
true
choice options.
Harry Potter, the first one.
Chamber of Secrets. That's a good one. No, not Chamber of Secrets.
I'm a little disappointed in you.
No, don't be
The-
disappointed.
I am. We did those.
I know, but
The stone.
Kidney stone?
Sorcerer's
Harry Potter
Stone.
and the Kidney
Philosopher's
Stone.
Stone. It has multiple. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I don't know because I don't know the movies that came out in that time.
Just guess. Let's guess. What movie.
Because I'm gonna guess something and it's gonna be like an either like a 70s movie or like a 2010.
Oh, those both are, I think would be excellent.
Was it 2010?
the first Fast and the Furious.
No, but both good answers. It was the original X-Men movie.
Really?
I would never.
I
Have
did
gotten
not know that.
So that
would have been.
So he turned that down to do this one.
Right. He turned down to do the X-Men. So imagine Anderson doing the X-Men franchise.
Based on his other work, I mean, it would be trippy.
It was the reason why he turned it down was because Mortal Kombat was PG-13, and he wanted to do something with a hard R, and did not happen.
Yeah, he did.
Let's see. The writer was kind of forced into writing this, Philip Eisner, because he had a multi-picture writing agreement. But he wrote this after like a family tragedy. I don't know what the tragedy was, but it was very, very. He didn't write anything after this. So.
Well, you can kind of see that in the script, and the suicide and the disabled kid with the bugs and just everything.
Right.
There's a lot of tragedy in that.
There's
it's all family members too.
Before the tragedy, he had pitched this idea of a movie as like The Shining in space, and that's what the studio originally went with, and then he was kind of forced to write it afterwards, and so it's probably a little uneven. But the first draft was enthusiastically received. So this movie came out 10 months after it started production.
That's fast.
That is insanely fast, and that explains a lot of things about this movie. And this is including they had 2 test screenings, and
how many test screenings do they normally do?
0 to 1.
So they did extra.
Yeah, they did extra.
So it was fast, and then they had extra screenings.
Right. And they did this to fill a hole. We'll talk about this when we talk about the movie's cost and stuff. But there was a big movie in 1997 that was coming out that was supposed to come out in July, and it did not. So Paramount had a hole in their schedule, and so they bumped up Event Horizon, which threw out his schedule. In the Directors Guild, you have 10 weeks to edit your film, and the bylaws you're supposed to be allowed 10 weeks. But he was a new director, and they talked him out of it to 6. So he was in 2 weeks into post-production stuff, or 2 weeks of reshoots, and they had really 4 weeks to edit this movie. So I mean that explains a lot of.
That's crazy.
It's a miracle that any movie gets made. It's a real miracle that this made it, and still looks as good as it does.
Yeah.
And then because of what we know that's out there, the movie that we didn't get, because studios kept wanting to go to a PG-13, and it's an R, but it's a soft R compared to what it was.
Oh sure.
So.
That harkens back to if you watch the documentaries about the Nightmare on Elm Street films, about the speed that they had to churn those out at.
Yeah, because New Line was they were so small, and they were so determined to keep that cash flow going. I mean, because that was basically their yearly bread and butter was these Nightmare on Elm Street films. Because nothing else they were having was really sticking.
And they just wore everybody out.
My last bit of trivia is that the rotating corridor, which they called the meat grinder, that separates the gravity drive from the rest of the ship, it keeps rotating around. It's a real thing. It was a big giant set piece that they built, and it worked so well that most of the actors couldn't walk down the street because it would disorient them.
Oh my gosh!
And so when you watch Lawrence Fishburne try to run from it during the fireball scene at the end, he's trying to fight vertigo. He's going through.
It looked like those fun mazes at the carnival,
right? And
that's 5 feet long, and that's it, and then
right.
you're done.
Yeah,
but
this one's 20 feet of that.
Yeah,
and you got to run as fast as you can, Morpheus. Just go. So, I thought that was interesting. So now we're paying the tab.
Oh, I forgot my wallet, guys.
I got this one.
Thank you.
So how much do you think the budget was?
I'll say $15 million.
$15 million.
Oh, goodness.
Talking 90s dollars.
We are talking $1997. $15 million. A really good estimate.
Well, there's been some movies in the 80s that were higher than that. I'm going to say 35.
$60 million.
Wow. I'm surprised.
I've learned just based on other movies.
The few movies that we've done.
Yeah. That I didn't think would have had a budget that high back then. They don't play with movies.
The weekend it came out, where do you think it ranked? Or how much did you... the weekend it came out, what do you think it ranked out of the top 10?
Do you know a top couple of them?
I know the top 5.
Don't say them in order, but can you pick like one or two?
No.
Oh. Second.
Fifth.
Fourth. It was beat out by Copland, Air Force One, Conspiracy Theory, and it beat Spawn.
I like that I asked for movies. I know none of those.
That's why I didn't tell you. I knew this ahead of time.
He would have said something. I would have been
Air
like,
Force
first,
One
I
was
don't know.
huge.
Oh, Air Force One was
It's
huge.
Harrison Ford. I mean,
Oh.
Conspiracy Theory was it Mel Gibson?
Yeah, it's Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I mean those guys were gods.
Patrick Stewart's in that too.
Yeah,
And of course, Copland was
Stallone.
but his return to this like pure drama. He had gained weight for it. It's a really, really good movie, and but I never thought it was a number one movie.
Those kinds of movies don't even get made anymore.
If they do get made, you see them on Netflix or Amazon Prime picks it up, and it dominates the award season. But no one saw it around here. How do you think it finished out of the top 100 of that year?
I would say in the bottom 30.
Bottom 30. Pick a number in the bottom 30.
75.
75.
45.
Close. 77.
No, they didn't like it very much.
Our movies and our sci-fi movies that aren't Alien just aren't going to do well. I mean, it's just
you guys could have told me that before, I guess.
Yeah,
Just
it's
saying.
just
okay.
Weirdos like
I'm
us
at a
that like those
disadvantage
movies
over
are
here.
few and far between.
So, can you name the top 5 movies of that year?
Of that whole year? No.
No, but one of them I already named in the last list.
The one that you just gave a second ago?
Air Force One's one of them. That was number 5.
What else in 97?
Spawn. Didn't you say that?
Yeah, but that was
I'm going to
kinda
keep listing
bombed.
those because that's what I know.
Yeah.
97.
It's
You
okay
got
if you
this.
can't, but I'm just curious. It's the fun part of the show. What can you name?
City of Angels.
No. Good soundtrack there.
The Crow was earlier than that.
And I don't think The Crow did that well
It
either.
didn't. But what would be huge in 97? Singles, that was earlier. I'm just thinking 90s.
That has Eddie Vedder, and I love it.
Are some of them comedies?
Yeah, one of them is.
When Harry Met Sally.
That's also earlier.
Is it really?
What about like Clerks?
Also did not do well.
Sleepless
but
in Seattle.
All right, you guys are killing me. In reverse order: number 5, Air Force One; number 4, Liar Liar; number 3, Lost World: Jurassic Park;
That's a terrible movie.
number 2, Men in Black;
Ugh.
and the number 1 movie of 1997, and currently one of the top movies of all time, Titanic.
Oh, wow.
Titanic was the movie that was supposed to come out in July and screwed up Event Horizon. So if you don't like Titanic, here's another reason for you not to like Titanic. I like Titanic. It's all right. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I've seen Liar Liar
Oh,
too,
sure.
and Men in Black. I've seen a lot of those.
Look at you.
I know.
I was married in 97. Of course, I saw Titanic.
I wasn't, but I was dating a couple of girls and we saw it a lot. I've seen it like 6 times in theaters.
I was 8. So I saw it on VHS later. It was 2 VHSs.
Ooh, yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
I was working at the Blockbuster when it came out. 2 VHSs.
Was that like a nightmare when they came out? It was 2, and you were like, God.
No.
Did they rewind both of them? They only did the first one? Of course they only did the first one.
That's usually how that went.
They finished the second one, just stuck it back in the box.
So why do you think this movie is, cool and why do you think it's become such a cult favorite?
I think all the reasons that we mentioned. I mean, it plays on a lot of familiar horror tropes that people love. It plays on. It's easy to follow. It's spooky in a lot of the right ways without being. There aren't many cheap scares in it. I hate that kind of stuff.
Right.
And
Psychologically spooky.
there's a lot of psychological thrill to it. Exactly. Playing on the familial horror is what I'm trying to say, of your wife committing suicide, your son being disabled, somebody that trusted you burning alive. It really hits a lot of the same spots that I think the Hellraiser movies, the good ones, really tie into.
So not like Deader or Hellworld.
No.
But in that way, it held
I'm glad
up.
I could just name some Hellraiser bad movies.
But look at the cast also. Isaacs, he's a Star Trek captain now. He's in
And a wizard.
9 Harry Potter films, or 8, or however many there were.
He's the Grand Inquisitor. of Star Wars
Pertwee,
Rebels.
went
So
on
you
to be a
think
genre
more
actor.
like it has to do with the fact that they became really famous, and so people enjoy watching it just because it's like, oh,
I just
can
think they're
see them
that
when
good.
And
they're-
I think I agree.
I mean, they are good, but
casting was perfect.
Jolie Richardson was on Nip Tuck for how many seasons?
Right.
I mean, she's very famous. And I mean,
the name is slipping my mind, but Richard T. Jones is everywhere. He's on all kinds of cop shows, and he was on the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and he was good in that.
and Fishburne's a legend. I mean, it's not just in genre films, but in '90s films before this.
Right.
I mean, the Spike Lee movies, and
Boys in the Hood.
but he's been Perry White and Bill Foster in the Marvel and DC movies, and
Ike Turner.
yeah, well,
Out of me. Do it out of me. He was nominated for an Oscar for that.
yeah, sure. I mean, he's a hell of an actor.
Do you know his first film?
Not Pee-wee's Playhouse.
No,
That
he's
doesn't count as
also
a
Cowboy
film.
Curtis. I don't know why we didn't mention that. He was Cowboy Curtis on Pee-wee's Playhouse, a role he loved. So
Was it one of the Spike Lee movies?
no, Apocalypse Now.
Really?
Yeah, he's very young, and he lied about his age, much like a lot of the Vietnam soldiers did back then. And he's a young guy on the boat.
I had no idea.
Yeah, go back and watch Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
Look at like little baby Lawrence Fishburne. He's like
So he's
17.
been doing it for 40 something
Yeah,
years.
he's like 17 in that movie. It's crazy. So what do you like about it? Why do you think it's such a cult classic?
because it holds up. Then you can still go watch it.
I mean, and for you, from your first time watching it, what was your perspective? I mean, you're not expecting what going. I mean, you had no idea. What
I knew it was a
going.
horror film, and I think I expected more jumps because that is a lot of horror films now, is the jumps
Right.
and being creepy. But it wasn't. I could watch it without hiding.
Right.
Yeah,
So do you like horror?
I do. I just have to. I have to have crochet. I have to have my yarn.
Well, you have to have your own. I mean, I've watched a lot
Yeah.
of movies, but you usually have your own. yarn.
Usually it's like Scotty comes over and then I pull the yarn bag over. I'm
Right,
like,
right.
it's fine, Scotty. You know. I need to move my hands.
This movie did not do well, of course, in the box office. Its opening weekend was like $9 million, and its gross was 26 total. But much like a lot of especially the movies that we do on this podcast, it found a love on home video, which is I think now it's kind of going to be a lost art with streaming. I'm not sure streaming has that.
Well, things get lost in the category the
Right,
catalogs.
right?
I mean,
Not just the catalog, but the algorithm itself doesn't push things like that up anymore.
that's right.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be the old guy like we need video stores, but there's something to said about being bored on a Friday night, going to go look for a movie and just going to, that's cool box art, I'll try that. We don't have that anymore. So,
Well, what's funny about that is my kid always wants to watch a movie before bed or something. So we're clicking through Stars trying to find something she can watch for 20 minutes. She's 5. And I just clicked on the cult category on Stars, and there's Event Horizon,
Yeah, Event
right
Horizon
there.
on
So, I mean,
Stars.
they did have it in there with only like 8 or 9 other movies. So it was spotlit there.
Right.
That's how I knew I could go. I have it on DVD somewhere.
Right.
But it was just easier in the middle of the night last night when I couldn't sleep to pull it up on Stars and watch it there in the living room.
yeah, I bought the Blu-ray a couple of years ago at like a Black Friday sale and never opened it until this podcast. I broke it open right before I came into your house where we watched it.
But that's
before.
fun, though. I mean, it's like surprising yourself. I have a lot of movies like that. I mean,
it's good stuff. Stuff you pick up that I know I like, but I'll eventually get back to.
But like most cult movies, it has so much in the fabric. There's humor, Cooper
Right.
in particular. There's a lot of good lines that you remember. There's a lot of good moments, like we talked about, the heroic moments,
Right.
whether they make sense or not. They're really well pulled off. I think better than a lot of what's done in certainly the Star Wars prequels.
Right.
I mean, because you're rooting. Baby Bear, they set that up so you give a damn. You
Right,
don't want Baby
right.
Bear to explode because
Right.
he's like, he wakes up, he's like, oh shit, what did I do?
Right.
And
He's also a character that we kind of don't really know. He's quick in there, and he is that sacrificial lamb. But we know he's young and eager, and we want to root for that. And even when he's in danger, that makes us feel it.
yeah.
I mean, to call out a movie from just recently, Dark Phoenix. Did you see Dark Phoenix?
I did.
All right, so setting aside that it just goes left field from whatever the story, but setting it in its own cinematic universe, we only had Jean Grey for half another movie.
Yep.
And then that we're forced to kind of feel for her.
Yep.
because she's Sansa, I guess. I'm not sure. And so,
Well, she has an ounce more emotion than Sansa, but
Right,
only an ounce.
But and so I don't feel that connection. I know Jean Grey, but that's hashtag not my Jean Grey.
But some of that's in the writing. I mean,
Right.
honestly, there are things I really love about Dark Phoenix. It's a crap movie, but I still enjoy a lot of it. Not that I'm probably going to ever rewatch it again, but there's just that fight scene is really good.
Right.
But when that's all you can say about me, but for Event Horizon, there's so much more than that, and it's every scene from start to finish is enjoyable or captivating in some way, and I think that's what makes it a cult classic. Like some of the other, not well received horror movies, the Hellraiser movies, they don't hold up very well. If you're watching them for quality, you're watching them for the wrong reason. But if you're watching them for the moments, for the one-liners, for Doug Bradley's voice, for some of the things that are unintentionally funny, they're amazing. They're such an entertaining watch. I think this is a better film than all of those films, honestly, from front to back. And I like the guy's other work. I love Pandorum for a lot of the same reasons.
Right.
Pandorum is fun.
Pandorum is what we would call the spiritual sequel to this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has a lot in common. Plus, who's the actor?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, yeah. It's so good in that movie. For the little time he's in it.
The singer of the Quaid brothers. My favorite Dennis Quaid movie is a movie that we're also going to do this podcast called Dreamscape. So I'm looking forward to that.
Not Dragonheart?
Maybe eventually, but Dreamscape first. You got to do Dreamscape first. Because I really want to show Justina Dreamscape and be like, so she can just be like, WTF.
I probably will too.
You still be WTF.
Yeah.
So Kevin, tell us about what you got going on.
A lot. I make way too many comics. I spend way too much time making comics, but it's fun. Right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, tonight, way before anybody hears this podcast, we have a Kickstarter ending for a pro wrestling comic for one of the Glow ladies from the 1980s.
Right, but as of this recording, it's successful.
It's doubled its initial goal, so we are very happy. So she's very happy.
Right. So when everyone hears this in 2 days from now, you'll be. I had another successful Kickstarter to your list.
Yep, and we're launching another one on Sunday for an 80-page graphic novel for the legendary Russian wrestling heel Nikolai Volkov, a good friend of ours who unfortunately passed away last year. And we'll have lots of autographed comics from previous campaigns that he helped us out with before he passed away. Comics cards and a really gorgeous 80-page graphic novel illustrated by another legend, Del Barris, who illustrated Spider-Man, Conan the Barbarian in the 70s. Really great artist.
I remember a story you told me that Nikolai was telling you about water.
Yeah, he's a health nut, ironically. Died of heart disease, unfortunately, last year. But he was a real health nut all through his entire life. He was a bodybuilder and a weightlifter before he was a wrestler. And we had dinner with him at Daytona Beach Comic-Con 2 years ago. And he was telling us, he was scolding us because we had ice in our water. He said, it's bad for digestion. You should have room temperature water. And every time I met the guy, every time I broke bread with him, he insisted that I get hot water for dinner.
That actually occurred to me today, where Penny got me a glass of water, and I just went to drink it. Because like, oh, thanks, good. She used the hot. And so I drank it. No. Especially when you think it's going to be cold water, and it was warm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it tastes so tepid and gross.
Use ice.
So, was he Russian?
No, he was Romanian.
Romanian. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still cold there. I get it. Someone's got to guard those vaults where they keep Event Horizon and other movies.
Yeah, the irony of it is that he escaped communism, immigrated illegally to Canada, and then came to the United States and gained citizenship. So he was actually very anti-communism.
But how very pro-capitalism for him. He's like, anything for a buck, we'll do it.
He became a star.
God love him. He did. He was. I mean, I remember him wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As a kid, so and I had the pleasure of meeting him once in Mississippi.
Yeah, at Mississippi Comic-Con up in Jackson.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He was wonderful.
We really miss him.
We're over again. But I know you have another book in the works, The Absentee.
Yeah, with our friend Rando Dixon, a local artist here, an amazing local artist.
Fitting our theme.
The grand bartender of all Mobile.
That's true.
Randolph Dixon. also artist. I'm having lunch with Rando tomorrow to plot out our Kickstarter for the Absentee issue 4. He's working on issue 5, and we're issue and a half from being done, having a complete story. So
tell the folks at home, tell our fellow cultists a little bit about the Absentee.
The Absentee is a story of an explorer working for a corporation that's looking for clean energy, and they go to an interdimensional source. They send him in this vehicle to another dimension to harvest energy there, so as not to use our own energy. And he encounters things there, not unlike Event Horizon, and that when he comes back, he's not quite himself anymore.
Does he have eyes?
He does have eyes the
good.
entire time.
Good.
Because where he was going, they needed them.
Yes, they did need them.
Because back in
where
these glasses, suddenly
Yeah.
he's like, I can't see well. I don't
Where
know.
you go, you need contacts.
So he comes back possessed by an energy.
Where you go, you need Lasix. All right, I'm done.
He comes back possessed by like an energy demon that takes over his body, gives the human the energy body, and then the energy demon proceeds to seduce his wife and take over his whole life while he's trapped in this immaterial body. So he has to get all that back while fighting against this demon.
All right, that sounds great.
Pretty
Actually read the first few
trippy,
issues.
crazy story.
I've read for a few issues. It's really awesome stuff. And I knew you had a new one coming out. I'm so excited to have you here. I figured Event Horizon would be a perfect movie to pair with The Absentee.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the influence on if anybody that reads my work of Barker in particular. But like I said, this feels like a Barker-esque movie to me, and that's just what speaks to me.
Hey, nothing wrong with that at all. So where can everyone find your comics?
InversePress.com is our full catalog. On Facebook, just search for Inverse Press. At Inverse Press on Twitter.
And you might see them in shows. They're all on the region. They pop up all kinds of shows.
Yeah, all throughout the Southeast.
So very cool. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for coming.
Absolutely, it's fun.
For hanging out with us about Event Horizon. This is Scotty saying, this is our contribution to the multiverse. Go out and make yours. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mobcast Network.